All right, it should be live now. All right, come on. So yeah, for the people that's on the live, we just having technical difficulties, but right now we're talking about the UFOs, the chariots of the Most High, right? The UFOs, the chariots of the Most High, they have two jobs, which is to deliver or to destroy, right? So we're going to go over the deliverance of our people, right? So let me come on, let me get that.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 1 and verse 9.
So this is deliverance right here. Read.
And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up.
He was taken where?
He was taken up.
He was taken where?
Taken up.
Read.
And a cloud received him out of their sight.
Right. So he was taken up by a chariot. Go into your Christian church and tell your pastor that Yahweh was abducted by aliens. Right? What are they going to say? You crazy? That's that spooky stuff. Get out of here. Right? Read.
And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them.
So the angels were standing right behind the apostles, right? And read.
In white apparel.
In all white apparel, read.
Which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven?
So the apostles are gazing up into heaven like, dang, this is crazy. Read.
This same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner.
He's going to come back the same exact way that he left. Right? Read.
As ye have seen him go into heaven.
Give me 1 Thessalonians 4:16. Because we're all going to go up that same way. Right? And that's written in the scriptures. You guys have anything?
This is the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 4 and verse 16. For the Most High himself shall descend from heaven with the
what?
Shall descend from heaven.
That's the same thing the angel said in Acts 1:9. Right? Read.
With a shout.
With a shout. Right? You're going to hear that trumpet. Read.
With the voice of the archangel and with the trump of the Most High.
Read.
And the dead in Christ shall rise first.
All right. So everybody who died in the Most High's name, in Yahweh's name, through the Most High's name through Yahweh, they're going to rise first. Right? They're going to go up into those chariots. Their spirit is going to go up into that chariot. Read.
Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them.
After Jacob's trouble and all the trials and tribulations, we're going to go up right after. Right? Let me get on Isaiah 66 and 20.
66 and 20?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sister.
The dead, rising up, only those who died in France will rise up, or will all rise up and
I would have to say that only the ones that died in Yahweh's name. But remember that there's regeneration. So those same people that died at a certain point, they came back on the earth today, right? So no one's gonna all the nation of Israel has to hear the gospel before he comes back, right? They have to know that to keep the commandments, and then they make their own choice from there, right? So the fact that we regenerate over time, right? You get another chance to hear it again. Right? So basically what I'm saying is that the dead that died in Christ are going to rise first. Those that didn't die in his name or didn't die trying to keep his commandments and striving to keep his commandments, they're not going to rise. They will be reborn in the kingdom.
So like, are you asking regarding like everybody being judged? Because there is
ultimately everybody will be judged, but
right.
I thought that all will be risen back into life, but however, those only who die in Christ will ascend. The rest will stay, but however, alive.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty much what this scripture is illustrating, is that those that are dead that died in Christ, keeping the commandments and died for the word of the Most High, will be resurrected first. They'll go up into the chariots, and then so will those that are alive that are keeping the commandments as well. Now, I was thinking that you were speaking in terms of like the great judgment, where everybody is going to be resurrected and judged. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, my concern because some of the people who died, not every one of them heard the gospel.
Right.
Or accepted Christ.
Right. Those won't be.
Some died because of other people's judgment, although nobody can get killed without Yahweh giving
Right. To the free.
the right of way or the command to do so. However, as a Haitian, I can say that some people that die because someone else decided that they shouldn't live anymore.
Right, right.
They take away their life for one reason or another.
Yeah, through wickedness.
But then they didn't get the chance to hear the word, to accept the word,
Right.
what will become of those people. I guess it's said right there.
When the great judgment, yeah, they will.
So basically, those same people will be back, because remember, Yahushua said that all Israel shall be saved, right? So we're all going to be saved in the end, but those people that didn't hear it, or the Most High judge, I don't know how they will happen as far as them not hearing it, the Most High judge them, right? I don't know how that works as far as in the heavens, but as far as them coming back in the kingdom, they'll be back in the kingdom. They'll be reborn in righteousness in the kingdom. They won't have that corruptible body anymore to be leading them into sin, right?
Okay.
Got it? Okay, no problem. But let me get that scripture.
This book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob.
All right, so all Israel is going to be saved, but some of Israel has to be destroyed, all right? And that some is 2/3, right? So let me just read that for you. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, and verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Most High, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein, right? So that 1/3 is going to be saved, and then that 2/3 is going to be brought back in the kingdom. So let's get back to deliverance. Let me get Isaiah 66 and 20.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, and verse 20. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Most High.
We're going to be all brought back unto the Most High through Yahweh. Shall I read?
Out of all nations.
Out of all the nations that we were scattered, right? Read.
Upon horses and in chariots.
Does that mean we're going to be brought on horses and horseback? A stallion? We're going to all ride together through the Wild West?
Not on a quiet stuff.
All right, there you go. Hallelujah. We're going to be brought back in the chariots. Go ahead, brother. Oh, go ahead, brother.
Revelation
11 and 12. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud.
That's right.
And their enemies beheld them.
Hallelujah. All right, that's playing upon tables. Right. I don't even need to explain that. Right? Let me get 2 Kings 11 and 12. 2 and 11. So. Well, speaking of that, let me actually get 2 King. That reminds me of let's get Enoch, because these things already happened before. Because Enoch was translated. Let me get Genesis 5 and 24. Yeah, Genesis 5 and 24, and let me get Hebrews chapter I believe it's chapter 1 and verse 5, or Hebrews 11 and 5. Let me get that.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 5 and verse 24. And Enoch walked with the Most High.
So Enoch was keeping the commandments of the Most High. That's what it means to walk with the Most High, right? He was keeping the duty of the Most High, right? You got to imagine the type of world Enoch was living in during that time, because that's right before the Most High flooded the earth. Right. That's why Enoch had Methuselah, and Methuselah's name in the Hebrew, it says, let me get Methuselah's name in the Hebrew. But yeah, Enoch walked with the Most High, and what happened? Read.
Enoch walked with the Most High, and he was not, for the Most High took him.
The Most High took him. He was taken up, just like Christ was taken up, right? Just like Elijah was taken up. Let me get that scripture, Hebrews 11 and 5.
Come on.
Right? Because it was stated in the New Testament as well that Enoch was taken. Then we're going to get Elijah being taken up as well. No, we didn't get that.
This is a.
So remember, Enoch had Methuselah, and then Enoch passed away right after, right? I mean, Enoch was translated right after he had Methuselah. Look at Methuselah's name in the Hebrew. What does his name mean?
Man of the dark.
Man of the dark. because the Most High was coming. What else? What else? Father, some of you might say this. Go down. Oh my God. There was another meaning in there. But yeah, man of the dark. I would take that because the Most High came with his chariots like a whirlwind in darkness. Whenever the Most High comes, there's darkness and destruction, right? So the Most High came right after Enoch had Methuselah, and then after that, when Methuselah, because after Methuselah was Noah. Yeah, so after Methuselah was Noah, just making sure I'm right. After Methuselah was Noah, and then Noah was redeemed when the flood happened, right? So Enoch was prophesying through Methuselah right there by giving him that name, because it says man of the dark. Why do you name his son man of the dark? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let me get that in Hebrews.
Hebrews 11:5. By faith Enoch was translated.
By faith Enoch was translated. Read.
That he should not see death.
That he should not see death, right?
And was not found because the Most High had translated him.
The Most High translated him, which means to taken up, right? And let me get a 2 Kings 2:11. Right, these are different examples of the Most High taking on different prophets, right? And the Most High gave us these examples to let us know that we're going to be taken up as well, right?
This is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 2, and verse 11. And it came to pass, as they still went on and taught, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire.
Read up a little bit, verse 9.
Come on. Verse 9. And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask what I shall do for thee, before I be taken away from thee.
So Elijah knew he was about to be taken up. Come on, read.
And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so.
Okay, read.
And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked.
So Elijah and Elisha are walking and talking right now, right? Read.
And taught that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire.
So the chariot just appeared out of nowhere. Read.
And horses of fire.
And horses, that is plural right there. So there was multiple chariots out there when they were walking, right? Read.
And parted them both asunder.
And pushed Elisha from Elijah. Like parted them both asunder, right? Read.
And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven.
And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. He was abducted, pretty much, right? In layman's terms, right? Read.
And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, my father.
And Elisha saw that, and he was just astounded. He was crying and shouting, right? Read.
The chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof.
The chariot of what?
Of Israel.
Of who?
Of Israel.
And what?
And the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more.
And saw him no more. Read.
And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in 2 pieces.
He snatched his clothes off. He was just amazed at what he seen, right? So let me get on. You had something?
This is where Esau gets all his movie ideas.
Right.
You see somebody get abducted, they disappeared. Right. This is where Esau gets his movie. His creativity from. Right.
That's right. So yeah, anybody have any questions on the deliverance of the Most High? How he's going to deliver us? All right. So let's go into the destruction. Let me get Revelations 1 and 7.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds.
He cometh with what?
With clouds.
What are those clouds again?
Sure.
That's right. Read.
And every eye shall see him.
Everyone's going to see him, right?
And
I think about it, how is everybody going to see him? Sometimes I think about it, I'm like, is it going to be through social media? You know what I'm saying? Everybody going to just see him, man. Go ahead, brother. All right, let me get on Psalm 68 and 17. Actually, I'll get it. Stay right there. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 68 and verse 17, right? The chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Most High is among them, as in Sinai. What does that mean when it says the Most High is among them, as in Sinai? You got it?
No, I'm not certain. As in Sinai, no, I'm not certain.
Okay. Anybody know? The Most High is among them as in Sinai?
Maybe it'll just be like Camp Wood.
Okay. This means that the Most High was with us, our forefathers, as in Sinai. He was with us on Mount Sinai the same way in the chariot. That's
He
right.
spoke to the people directly.
Right.
That's right. Right? The chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Most High is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. Right? That's a beautiful precept, right? So let me get Revelation 1:7.
Come on, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 7.
Mhm.
Behold, he cometh with clouds,
Mhm.
and every eye shall see him,
Mhm.
and they also which pierced
And
him.
who is that piercing?
The Romans.
That's right. So they're going to see. That's how you know regeneration is real. How are they going to see him? Right? They're going to see him because they're going to be alive in that day.
We're here now.
Yep, that's right. Read.
And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him.
I thought he was coming back with hugs and kisses.
And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of
He's
him.
going to be crying and gnashing the teeth. Right? Read.
Even so, Amen.
Amen. Right? Bring that up in the Christian church.
Right.
Right? Give me Songs of Solomon 8, 5 and verse 8, I believe. Yeah, I think it's 5 and verse 8. You notice that it's called Songs of Solomon. We've been writing lyrics since ancient antiquity. Right? You know, Jake went and break down songs at rapgenius.com, and that's a double entendre, brother. Break down these lyrics, man. Break down the Songs of Solomon. Right? Read that. 5 and 8. Is that it? Let me get maybe it's 4 and 8 or 2 and 8.
No.
2 and 8. All right, come on.
This is the book of Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 8.
Mhm.
The voice of my beloved,
Mhm.
behold, he cometh leaping upon the mountains,
Mhm.
skipping upon the hills.
All right, so y'all gotta break this down for me right here. What's going on right here? The voice of my beloved. Go ahead, man.
Here in the mountains is referring to kingdoms,
All right.
nations.
All right, so who's the voice of my beloved?
The voice of my beloved, Christ.
All right, there you go. Read.
Come. Behold, he cometh leaping upon the mountains.
Does that mean Christ's gonna be just jumping on the mountains, chilling and stuff, and
Right.
skipping? Right? He coming to destroy all those nations. The mountains are the big nations, and the hills are the little nations. Right? Read.
Skipping upon the hills.
Skipping upon the hills. Right? Read.
My beloved is like a roe or a young hart.
What does that mean? My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. What is a roe or a hart? A hart is a deer, right? So what does that mean? My beloved is like a roe or a young hart.
Young.
What do deers do? Like what are they known for? Whenever they're fast, aren't they? Deers are fast. They're very fast. They're like
Swift.
Yes, swift. Most High said he's gonna destroy this place in 1 hour, right? So the Most High gonna do this thing swiftly, like a roe or a hart, right? Read.
Behold, he standeth behind our wall.
He standeth behind the wall. Read.
He looketh forth at the windows.
He looketh forth out the windows. What is it? What windows is he looking out of? The chariots, right? Read.
Showing himself through the lattice.
Showing himself through the lattice. That lattice is like, I don't know, y'all seen the little Star Trek when they have like a little, he's gonna be showing himself through the lattice. You're gonna see him through the lattice, through the window, and he's just gonna be looking as he's destroying this place. Right? Read that. Read it back again.
Book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 9. My beloved is like a roe or a young hart. Behold, he standeth behind our wall. He looketh forth at the windows, showing himself through the lattice.
All right, read that. The lattice. You gotta bring it up in the Hebrew. Let me get lattice in the Hebrew. I got you. That's beautiful to imagine, man. You see Yahushua looking through the lattice, looking through the window of his chariot. And Ezra said his chariot is like a great mountain. He's never seen a mountain like that. He said he looked everywhere. And we're gonna get that scripture too. All right.
So this is the word lattice in the Hebrew is karet.
Okay, correct. Read.
Karet. It means lattice, other opening through which one may look.
Ooh, there you go. It's gonna be an open where Yahweh looks. Because if you look that up in the regular Google, it's gonna tell you a wood or some foolishness.
Yeah, it says a structure consisting of strips of wood or metal crossed and fastened together with square or diamond-shaped spaces left between.
So that's why you got to go into our language, the Hebrew.
There's a definition in the
Okay, what does it say?
Lattice. Lattice work made by crossing lats or other material across an opening serves as a threshold purpose.
Okay, so an opening, just like the Hebrew was saying, opening something that you look for. Right, hallelujah. Let me get on 2 Samuel 22 and 10.
This is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 22 and verse 10. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub.
Upon the what?
A cherub. And
Right.
did fly.
And did what?
And did fly.
Right, read.
And he was seen upon the wings of the wind.
That's right. Yahushua is seen upon the wings of the wind. It's brought that. What scripture is that we just brought up that said he was brought upon with the wings of the wind? It was Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 2, I believe. But let me get Isaiah chapter 31 verse 5. So, right, it's talking about the destruction of Babylon, destruction of these nations, man. Yahushua not coming back with hugs and kisses. Right?
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 31 and verse 5. As birds flying,
right?
So will the Most High of Hosts defend Jerusalem.
That's right. Why does the scripture say as birds flying is how Yahushua is going to defend Jerusalem? Right? That's the simple answer. But what do birds do when they fly? How do they fly? In formation. They fly in certain formations, right? They fly like a V pattern. Sometimes you see the birds in the sky, they all fighting each other, but do you ever see a bird run into another bird and they fall out the sky? Right? Birds are flying in a certain formation. He's gonna come back with order. When you see the chariots, gonna be in order in all types of different formations. Right? As birds flying. That's a beautiful scripture, man. Right? So let me get 2 Ezra chapter 13 and verse 1. Right? Because Ezra's seen Yahushua destroying this place. Right?
13:1. This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 13 and verse 1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night.
So Ezra's having this dream at night, right? Read.
And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo.
Oh wait, so let's go into this. Talking about a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof, right? So then in Genesis it tells us that there's waters below us and there's waters above us, right? So read.
And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven.
So the waters above us, they parted, and you see that the chariots of the Most High wax strong with thousands of heaven, right? Read.
And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him.
All the things trembled that were seen under him. What are those things? Those different nations that are going to try to fight him, right? Read.
And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice.
Okay, let me somebody break that down for me. Anybody got that for me?
Let me read it again, verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire.
All right, so let somebody break that down. Anybody got it? Okay.
Whatsoever the voice.
Asher, you got it? Read 2 Ezra 13 4.
Not when the sky cracks and Most High is the heathen, the unrighteous, the 2/3, all those that are going to perish under that
Okay.
I'm kind of stretching.
Okay. It's close. That's talking about whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, right? So this is talking about the chariot itself. He's looking, Ezra is, because in those times, did Ezra see that and be like, wow, that's a UFO, right? He couldn't explain what he was seeing, so he's explaining it in the only way he could, the best way he could, right? Read. I mean, go ahead, brother.
No, yeah, now kind of,
Okay, go ahead.
so basically, it could be, these are like, the fire that's out of his mouth could be like laser beams that he's throwing.
Yep, the chariot is opening its mouth and shooting down that laser beam.
Right.
So now let's look at it like this again. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice.
Oh, his mouth. Okay, the mouth
Of the mouth of the chariot.
Of the
How we
chariot,
go.
right.
Like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. The earth, when it feels that fire, it fails. Everything is burned. Nothing there. Right? Read.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men, out of number, from the four winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
Right? So what is this right here? Somebody break this down.
Sounds like Armageddon.
So when all the nations get together, they trying to subdue that man that came out of the sea. Right? They're trying to fight Yahushua and the angels right here. Right? Read.
But I behold, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it.
So he said he graved himself a great mountain. When Ezra seen the chariot of Yahushua, he called it a great mountain. Right? What do we consider great mountains today? Mount Everest, right? You got the Fuji Mountain. Those are great mountains. So can you imagine the size of Yahushua's chariot? Right? Right? Read.
But I would have seen the region or place whereof the hill was graven, and I could not.
So Ezra seen that great mountain. He was like, where did this mountain come from? I've seen hills and mountains before, but I've never seen a mountain like this. So that's how big he's describing the chariot of Yahushua, right? Read.
And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid.
So everybody holding their little guns and they like this, looking up at the chariot. They were so afraid, man. You gotta visualize these things. You gotta use our imagination, man. Use what the Most High gave us, right? Read.
And yet there's fight.
They do just shooting with the whatever they got going on, right? Read.
And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
That's right. He says he neither lifted up his hand nor held a sword nor any instrument of war. So you got Yahushua sitting on his throne like this, just looking at him as they came with the violence.
Just observing.
Just looking, right? Read.
But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire.
That's another laser coming out. Read.
And out of his lips a flaming breath. And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests.
Read.
And they were all mixed together. The blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest.
So they were all just consumed by that laser, that flaming breath, right? Read.
And fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every single one.
Read.
So that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived.
Nothing was to be perceived. There was nothing there after that laser came out. Read.
But only dust and smell of smoke.
Read.
When I saw this, I was afraid.
Ezra seen that, he was afraid. Hallelujah. All praise to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So let's go into how the chariot. The Most High didn't give us no exact schematics on the chariots and how they work and all those different things. Because Jacob be like, dang, they don't got no gas pedal in here, right? So let me get Ezekiel 1 and 4. Give us a little bit of understanding of the chariots.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north.
Okay, so what is that whirlwind? That's right. All the answers is chariots. Read.
A great cloud and a fire enfolding itself.
A fire enfolding itself. Read.
And a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures.
Of 4 living creatures, right? Read.
And this was their appearance.
So who's this talking about right here? All right, read.
They had the likeness of a man.
They had the likeness of a man. They had the body like a man, right? Read.
And everyone had 4
So
faces.
this angel had 4 faces. I don't see no Gerber baby with the Pampers on. Read.
Right. And everyone had 4
And
wings.
they had 4 wings. Read.
And their feet were straight feet.
Mm-hmm.
And the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot.
That's why whenever the angels appeared unto man, they were terribly afraid. They were trembling, man. Right? Read.
And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass.
Where do we see burnished brass at again? Revelations 1 and 12, right? When it describes Yahushua. Hallelujah. Read.
And they had the hands of a man under the wings of their 4 sides.
On their 4 sides. Read.
And they 4 had their faces and their wings.
Mm-hmm.
Their wings were joined one to another.
Mm-hmm.
They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward.
Okay, so let me go to verse 12.
Come on, verse 12. And they went every one straight forward.
So he's looking at the chariot going straight forward, going back forward. Read.
Whither the spirit was to go, they went.
Where the spirit was to go, they went. Read that again.
And they went every one straight forward.
Mm-hmm.
Whither the spirit was to go, they went.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned not when they went.
All right, so it's letting us know that the chariots of the Most High move with the spirit, right? The spirit of the angel, right? So read that one more time.
Verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
And they went every one straight forward, whither the spirit was to go.
Because remember in verse 4, it says that it's talking about the chariot itself. It says, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, because that's the chariot, right? A great cloud and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. So it's talking about the chariot, and it's talking about the angel within the chariot. So it's saying whatever the spirit of the angel moved, that's where the chariot went, right? So it's not no gas pedal or steering wheel or hydraulics, ain't got nothing going on there. No Hemi, it moves with the spirit, man, right? So let me get 2 Kings 6 and 16, another example of the chariots, and then I'm gonna give you some history of the chariots from Alexander the Great and the Battle of Los Angeles in 1942, where they actually have written accounts of seeing the chariots, right? Alexander the Great had an historian that actually written down when a chariot actually revealed itself, right? Because remember in First Maccabees, it says when Alexander came into power, what happened? Wickedness was multiplied upon the earth. So he had to come into power through the power of the Most High. The Most High made that happen. He had to fulfill prophecy, right? Read that.
This is the book of 2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 16. And he answered, fear not, for they that be with us.
So right now, Elisha is being overtaken by the Assyrian army right now, and it's just him and his servant. And his servant is asking him, his master, what are we gonna do? Because they're about to be taken over by the Assyrian army, right? And what did he say again? Start from the top.
Come on, I'm gonna slow down a little bit. This is the book of 2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 16. And he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them.
So what is he talking about right there? What? Who's outnumbered?
The mortal human beings who are fighting against the Most High are outnumbered by the angels.
The mortal, they're out. Yeah, that's right. Read.
Come on, verse 17. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see.
So Elijah's telling the Most High to open up his servant's eyes so he can see what Elisha sees, right? Read.
Come on. And the Most High opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses. So when the servant seen the angels, they were all throughout the whole plain. He seen them out in the mountains and all that. Read. And chariots of fire round about Elisha.
That's right. Come on, that's it on that.
Is this the one? You have that historical the church when
It was when Elisha was going to fall.
Come
I believe that's 2 Samuel. If you have any questions, let me know as well.
And just to kind of tie things together with what you might see in movies and stuff like that. Like one movie in particular that I watch repeatedly because it reminds me so much of the scriptures and it lets me know, that Esau knows that their judgment is coming. Esau knows what's going to happen in the future. Independence Day. That's one movie I watch all the time. And this is this one particular scene where the chariot is finally coming out of the cloud. And when it's coming out of the cloud, you see fire and you see the chariot coming from fire and smoke. Like when it's coming out over New York and there's all kinds of chaos and stuff like that. They know what's going to happen. They know how it's going to go down. So, Esau knows they're very clear on how things are supposed to go. That's why they got this Space Force going on. Like, why would you spend billions and billions of dollars to create a Space Force? What sense does that make? And now all of a sudden, you have the U.S. government. They're saying that, now it's imminent that we're going to be contacted by UFOs, by aliens and stuff like that. So they prepare because they know the time is short. They know that Yahushua is going to be coming back. So because they see the children of Israel waking up, they know what the prophecy says. So they scramble and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. They panicking because they know their time is short, just like the scripture says.
That's why you think they're creating that Space Force. What are they fighting? I thought it was only dust and bacteria up there.
Right.
What are they fighting in space, man? Right. Let me get because it also tells us that Esau is wiser than Daniel, right? Lets us know that they know these scriptures. They know these prophecies. The high up there, not your average Esau walking down the street. They don't know that. They think God loves everybody, right? So, what was that scripture? Thou art wiser than Daniel. I believe it's. I think it's in. We'll get back to that, but let me get on Second Kings chapter 1 verse.
Oh my gosh, you messed it.
Oh, you got it? Oh, Ezekiel 28.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 28 verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
Right. So let's let you know that Esau is wiser than Daniel. Right. He's letting us know that he knows what's going on.
What's that passage?
Ezekiel 28
verse 3.
So yeah, let's just go into the accounts of Alexander the Great. He's seen. I'll bring it up for you real fast.
And see, you might find a Christian that would hear what he's about to read regarding Alexander the Great and say, see, the Most High is with everybody, but the Most High is not with everybody. The Most High made Alexander the Great, quote unquote, great because he had to fulfill prophecy. Alexander the Great, or we call him the Greek, is somebody that played a big role in the things that in the scriptures that we read about. So he had to do what he had to do in order for the prophecy to be fulfilled. So the Most High was with him and made these things happen so that the prophecy could be fulfilled.
Here it is. All right. So this is the account of Alexander the Great's historian in 329 BC, right?
It says the year is 329 BC. Alexander the Great is leading his army on a quest to conquer the known world. As he is preparing his army to cross the Indus River to attack the Indian army, Alexander and all his troops watched in awe as two great shining silvery shields spitting fire around the rims.
So they know these. So if Alexander the Great's historian reported these things back then, what makes you think that they do not know these things right now? Right? Read.
Seem to emerge from the heavens.
Seem to emerge from where?
From the heavens.
Read.
These two shields divided repeatedly. I know y'all seen the chariots every now and again in videos and show them like dividing and coming back together, all that, right? Read. These two shields died repeatedly at his army until the war elephants, horses, and men all panicked
because he was trying to cross over the Indus River. He wasn't supposed to go into that land. He was trying to conquer India, right? He was not supposed to go into that land. That was not part of the prophecy, right? And what did the shields do? They died repeatedly.
These two shields died repeatedly at his army until the war elephants, horses, and men all panicked and refused to cross the river where the horrendous incident occurred.
All right, read.
The two flying shields disappeared into the sky as quickly as they had appeared. 7 years later.
7 years later. So after they turned around and left India alone, right, read.
7 years later, while attacking a Venetian city.
So they were attacking a Venetian city that had walls great and high, right? Read.
And
if you read that account too, so when you go into that war that they had, they actually built a land bridge from their land over to that Venetian city because there was water in between them. So they had to build like a man-made land bridge to get to that Venetian city. Like Esau was determined, right? Read.
7 years later, while attacking a Venetian city in the eastern Mediterranean, Alexander and both armies on either side of the conflict witnessed two objects materialize in the sky. Suddenly, one of the objects shot a beam of light at the city wall, crumbling it to dust.
Crumbling it to dust, man. He crumbled the whole wall into dust, and they just went in there and took that Venetian city. So, that's an account from Alexander the Great. Y'all go into it. I can put the link out in the chat. But yeah, I think that's crazy that is recorded in history.
Right.
They call it gleaming, glittery shields. Man.
And the thing is they don't talk about that. They try to suppress this information, but they have it recorded in their history books. So it makes you have to beg the question to yourself: what are they hiding? They know historically. Now, if they're revering Alexander the Great, they call this man a great person. You read about him in history. He's in the scriptures, right? And then you hear this great account of him witnessing, and him and a whole army and armies witnessing chariots flying around, and it's documented. But yet they're saying, "Oh, we don't know if there's UFOs." All this time until now, they can't stop it from being revealed because the Most High is He's revealing it to everybody. So that's kind of, oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a good commercial too, because they always put it in the commercials and the movies, like what's going on and all that. So this is a Foot Locker commercial. You're gonna see Jake actually be beamed up in the Foot Locker commercial. Yeah, as soon as the Wi-Fi loads up.
Yeah, I remember seeing this commercial.
Safe to say, yes, it's the best. What are you doing?
What that looks like? That looked like a missile shooting across the sky. Why is Jake so calm?
Right.
Trying to get to the point where it shows Jake.
You notice how Jake is so calm? That's subliminal. Look at that. Ephraim. Look at Ephraim.
They show us all the time in these commercials. It's crazy.
And then, but the funny thing is, you see, they got that zombie apocalypse too, right?
Everybody walking dead right now.
Right. Con. That's those ones that got that jab.
That's a test shoot commercial.
Con. Yeah. Right. So Esau knows what's going on. They know the prophecies. They know the scriptures. And the higher ups are the ones that put out things like this. And for the most part, most people don't get it. They don't see it. So they don't see it. They don't understand it because just like they making fun of people in the commercial, people are the walking dead. People aren't, we're spiritually, a lot of us are spiritually dead. You know what I mean? All praise to the Most High for waking us up though.
So yeah, that was the end of the UFOs, so we're gonna go into the portion now.
Con. All praise. So great lesson, man. Great lesson. That's something that's really important, when I remember when I first came into the truth and I heard about chariots and stuff like that, I was kind of skeptical, but when you go into the scriptures, the Most High puts things repetitively throughout the scriptures, so that way you know it's not a mistake, right? So, when you go through these scriptures, just like Powerful Officer just broke down, that gave us this breakdown on it, it's undisputable, right? And then on top of that, what happens? The Most High, He manifested, and now we seeing chariots all over the world, You catch it every day. So, we just gotta stay keeping that righteous spirit, and pray to the Most High that He blesses us in that day, and pray that He blesses us and has mercy upon us and blesses us to make it into those chariots and make it to the wilderness, So all right, so we're gonna get into the portion, and that would be Deuteronomy
3 and 23.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 3 and 23, and so Deuteronomy 7 and 11. Deuteronomy 3:23 to Deuteronomy 7 and 11. Okay. Everybody there? Fine. All right.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, verse 23. And I besought the Most High at that time, saying, O Most High, thou hast begun to show thy servant thy greatness and thy mighty hand. For what power is there in heaven or in earth that can do according to thy works and according to thy might? I pray thee, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan, that goodly mountain and Lebanon.
So this is Moses. Moses is talking to the Most High, and he's pretty much trying to convince the Most High to allow him to go over, over Jordan, right? So he's kind of trying to reason with the Most High, like, I'm trying to see this good land too. I'm trying to make it to the quote unquote promised land, right? Which is what if anybody's familiar with Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, this is what he's talking about. He's putting him. If you've heard that speech, he's putting himself in the place of Moses, because he said, I may not go there with you, but I've seen the promised land. So he was quoting this or paraphrasing, quoting this scripture right here. He had put himself, because what was Martin Luther King during that time period? He was kind of like Moses, right? He was trying to usher us into the promised land, which he always talked about. But he realized that what he said, I have brought my people into a burning building. Right? So he figured out he was an Israelite towards the end, and that's why they killed him. But we don't want to get too far off subject. Go on.
Verse 26. But the Most High was wroth with me for your sakes, and would not hear me. And the Most High said unto me, let it suffice thee, speak no more unto me of this matter.
So the Most High said, listen, Moses, I ain't trying to hear you no more. This is Moses talking to the children of Israel. He was basically telling them about his conversation. But so the Most High was like, Moses, I'm not trying to hear that. I done made up my mind, right? Read on.
Done. And the Most High said unto me, let it suffice thee, speak no more unto me of this matter. Get thee up into the top of Pisgah, and lift up thine eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and behold it with thine eyes, for thou shalt not go over this Jordan.
So that's there you go right there. The Most High said, you're not going over the Jordan, Moses. He said, look east, west, south, north, look at it, behold it, take it in, enjoy the scenery right now, because you're not going over there. You're not going to make it over there. Read on.
But charge Joshua and encourage him and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which thou shalt see. So we abode in the valley over against Beth Peor.
So the Most High had already established and set and had somebody already ready to kind of take Moses' position. Yeah, he already had made a decision on who he was going to have, and that was Joshua. So Joshua, he told, basically it was like a change of a change of power, almost like, you know, when the United States changes presidents, you know, you got to have that debriefing. You know, he said, sit with him, talk with him, encourage him, make sure, you know, you give him everything that I told you. You got to tell him, encourage him that he'll be fine, you know, leading everybody, so on and so forth. So go ahead.
Neither Moses or Aaron was able to make it into the promised land.
No, Aaron had died already, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Aaron had died already? Before I think he died already. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, Aaron had died already. So no, neither one of them made it. All right, chapter 4.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 1. Now therefore hearken unto Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments, which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Most High, your power of your fathers, giveth you. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I commanded you.
And that right there is a commandment. He said, don't add to it, nor do you diminish from the word.
Let me get Revelation 22 and 18. So there's this actual I'm not against, you know, every other translation. I'm not a King James onlyist. I like to do comparative translations, but I do have beef with this translation of the Bible. It's called the Passion Translation. Has anybody heard of that? The TPT version? I'm gonna look up let's look up I don't know if you can look at the word, the Passion Translation. Right? They're in complete violation of this law, right? Let me get you can get that. I pulled it up. Revelation 22 and 18. Go ahead, read
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 18.
Right?
For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book.
Right?
If any man shall add unto these things,
Right?
the Most High shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book.
Child unto what?
The plagues that are written in this book.
Right. So this is the TPT, right? The Passion Translation. These are the only books that it contains. I don't know if you pull it up, but I'm gonna read it here. It says, I don't know if you pull it up the website so they can so it contains the book of Psalms, Proverbs, Songs of Songs, John, Luke, and Acts, Hebrews and James, letters from heaven, and Matthew. Right. What is this? But this is a Bible translation that people actually go and buy. It's going for $150 online right now.
What?
Right? This is called the Passion Translation. They're in complete violation of Deuteronomy 4 and 2 and Revelation. Look up the Passion Translation and the books that it contains. Look up and search up the Passion Translation and put the books that it contains. Right? The Passion Translation. Right?
Matthew 5:18.
Right, look at this. Look what it says. Right? It says, this is the Passion Translation. This box includes the Passion Translation books of Psalms, Proverbs, Songs of Songs, John, Luke, and Acts, Hebrew and James, letters from heaven and Matthew. Right, that's blasphemy.
Fine.
Right, and this is why we say like a lot of Christians they added Proverbs and Psalms, right? But they basically dismiss the entire Old Testament, right? We don't have to do that, right? Our doctrine is not. We don't have to take books out of the Bible to create a doctrine, but Christianity has to do that. You feel me? What you got there? Yeah, the NLT, right? Like if you go to Matthew 18 and 11 in the NLT, that verse doesn't exist, right? It jumps from Matthew. It comes from Matthew 10 and it jumps straight to 12. There's not Matthew 18 and 11 in the NLT, right? But what you got?
Matthew 5:18, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law.
Right? You can't take it away from the law, right? Even if it's a minor prophet or a major prophet, you can't take away from the law, right? I just wanted to bring that out. That's the Passion Translation, man. That's crazy, right? So let's go back to Deuteronomy 4 and 2.
So that's a complete transgression of the law.
Whoever created that translation is going to get what the says. They're going to get plagues.
They're going to get plagues. That's right.
Right. So go back to Deuteronomy 4 and 2. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your power, which I command you. Your eyes have seen what the Most High did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, the Most High, thy power, has destroyed them from among you. But ye that did cleave unto the Most High, your power, are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Most High by power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them.
What?
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Why is this great? Why is Israel a wise and understanding people? Or why would we be? Because we're the only ones that were blessed with the law, statutes, and commandments. Nobody else had that.
Come on, and this is actually this kind of can also allude to end time prophecy. When you look at the kingdom, they still have to come to sit. Or read that part again, Deuteronomy 4 and 6.
Verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
So they understand that because we're keeping the law. That's why we look at in end time prophecy, they're going to come to us to learn the law, right? Because we have the understanding and the wisdom from the law. Give me that in Micah 4:1, right? Micah 4:1. Right, because we have the understanding because the law was given to us, right? Micah 4:1. Let me get there real quick.
This is the book of Micah, chapter 4 and verse 1. But in the last days, it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Most High, the mountain of the house of the Most High.
What's that mountain? What's the mountain of the house of the Most High? That's going to be on top of these hills. Give me Zechariah 8 and 3. Right? What's that mountain representing? Huh? Which nation? Because it says this nation is going to be above on top of the hills. Israel, right? Yasharallah, right? Let me get that in Zechariah 8 and 3. Right? Come on, Zechariah 8 and 3. Right? I'm holding Micah.
You got Micah? Okay.
So let's see what that mountain of the house of the Lord, right? That's going to be established in the top of the mountains, right? What's that house of the Lord that's going to be established in the top of the mountains, right? Right? Let me see that.
8 and 3.
Yeah, come on, 8 and 3. Come on. Oh, you good.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 8 and verse 3.
Come on.
Thus saith the Most High, I am returned unto Zion, and I will select it, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth.
What?
A city of truth.
So Jerusalem we call a city of truth, right?
And the mountain.
And the what?
And the mountain.
So Jerusalem is that mountain. Keep going.
Of the Most High of hosts, the holy mountain.
The what?
The holy mountain.
So Jerusalem's that holy mountain, and they call it what? The city of what?
The city of truth.
The city of truth. Right? And now what's the truth? Right? Right, Psalm 119, right? 142. Right? That's why the Most High said, the Yahushua said we have to sanctify them through his truth. John 17 and 17. Oh, you can drop that. You can John 17 and 17. Right? And we're going to go back to Micah. So Israel or Yasharallah, Jerusalem, is that mountain at the top of the hill, right? There's no equality in that, right? There's a hierarchy in the kingdom, and we're on the top of that hierarchy, right?
This is the book of John, chapter 17 and verse 17.
Right?
Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is true.
Thy what?
Thy word is true.
The word is true. Right? Let's go back to Micah 4:1. Right? Micah 4:1. Very good. Right? We all understand that though, right? That the mountain on the top of the hill is Jerusalem. All right?
This is the book of Micah, chapter 4 and verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass.
Right, so when it's talking about the last days, what does that mean? The last days, right? Or the end times, what is that referencing, right? End time prophecy, right? This is the end time prophecy, right? Keep going.
It shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Most High shall be established in the top of the mountain. And it shall be exalted above the hills.
It shall be what?
Exalted above the hills.
And that's talking about these other nations. We'll be exalted above these other nations. Keep going.
And people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, come, and let us go up to the house of the Most High of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways.
He will do what?
He will teach us his ways.
Keep going.
And we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion.
Show up.
Of Zion,
Right?
and the word of the Most High from Jerusalem.
Right. So not only are we keeping the law today, we're going to keep the law in the kingdom, and we're going to teach these other nations the law as well. Right? So there's no way the law can be abolished if we're still going to be teaching it in the kingdom. That doesn't make any sense, right? So let's go back to Deuteronomy 4, and who's that? But we all have the understanding now, right? We're going to be that nation exalted in the top of the hills, teaching the other nations the law, statutes, and commandments, because we have the understanding. All right, we have the wisdom from the law, because we were given the law, right? So let's go back to
4 and 7.
This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and 7. For what nation is there so great, who has the Yahweh so nigh unto them, as the Most High? Our power is in all things that we call upon Him for. Right? And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments so righteous, so all as all this law, which I set before you this day?
We get Amos 3:1. So he's saying, for what nation is there so great who have the Most High so nigh unto them? Right? Because the Most High is not, he's not a God of the world. He's not a God for everybody, right? He's not the God of the Arabs and the Chinese and the white man and so on and so forth. He's not their power. He's our power only, right? And he illustrates that several times throughout the scriptures.
This book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 1. Hear this word that the Most High has spoken against you, O children of Israel. O children of Israel.
No, white man.
O children of Israel.
Read on.
Against the whole family, which I brought up from that land of Egypt, saying.
He didn't bring everybody out of Egypt. He only brought the Israelites out of Egypt, right? So how does that work that he loves everybody if he removed us from Egypt? He didn't save the Egyptians. As a matter of fact, he killed their firstborn. Read on.
You only have I known.
Who?
You only have I known.
The whole world.
You only have I known.
Read.
Of all the families of the earth.
We are that one nation that he loved. We are the ones that were given the law, statutes, and commandments, right? We are the ones that that has the Most High so nigh unto us, right? So we are the only ones that have not the opportunity, but have these curses. We're the only ones that have the benefit of salvation. Continue.
Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
And that's why we're in the condition that we're in. Because, go ahead.
You get Jeremiah 31:1. Right, it's a family affair, right? The Most High is trying to call for a family reunion. All right, not everybody, on the planet Earth is the children of Yahweh, right? They're not in this family. You know what I mean? And well, they can be adopted. Well, the adoption still pertains to the Israelites, right? So let me get that Jeremiah 31:1.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, and verse 1.
Right.
At the same time, said the Most High, will I be the power of all the families of Israel.
Of all the families of who?
Of Israel.
All the families of the world.
Of Israel.
All the families of the earth.
Of Israel. And they shall be my people.
And they shall be what?
My people.
Our minds possessive, right? Out of all the families of the earth, He is our power, right? So let's go back to Deuteronomy. This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 9. Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons.
Right.
Especially the day that thou stoodest before the Most High, thy power in Horeb, when the Most High said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the ways that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children.
See how important it is, and how many times it's been reiterated to teach our children. So teaching our children is extremely important. Now, how do you teach your children, right? You got to be an example. You can't just talk the talk and not walk the walk, right? You can't have faith without works. You gotta allow your actions to show your children how to keep the commandments, to be that example, to be that light, like Proverbs 6:23 says. We have to let our children see our good works, right? And the Most High will bless us. Well, how does it say? Well, no, that's doing your own. But the Most High is going to bless you in front of everybody, right? People will be able to see that the Most High is with you, because you won't be going through most of the stuff that other people will go through. Obviously, the curses are on us regardless. However, we receive grace and mercy from the Most High by keeping the commandments. So our children have to follow suit, right? We got to teach them. We got to teach our children and talk to them about the commandments all the time. That should be the basis of our conversation, right? We should always be teaching our kids. Let me get up 1 Peter 4:11. No, sure. We should always be teaching our children the law, statutes, and commandments. We shouldn't be talking about twerking. We shouldn't be talking about being a NBA superstar. We should be talking about Giannis just winning the NBA championship. Don't nobody care about that. That's vanity. None of that stuff is going to benefit you in making it to the kingdom.
This book of 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 11. If any man speak,
Any man or woman, read.
let him speak as the oracles of Yahweh.
As what?
As the oracles of Yahweh.
We got to speak God's words. We got to speak the Most High's words, right? Because this is wisdom. This is what's gonna keep us safe in this wicked behind world. Because when you walk out your front door, it's wicked. As a matter of fact, you ain't even got to walk out your front door to be exposed to the wickedness of the world. Turn on your radio, right? Turn on your TV, right? That's all you got to do. They set it up to where wickedness is overtaking and overwhelming us, right? So we have to keep our mind focused on keeping these commandments. We have to. And the only way to do that is to stay in these scriptures. Keep that right spirit on us, right? Show our children how to be. Be that example. Let's go back to Deuteronomy.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 9. It's lovely.
I think we're in
12. 12. Verse 12. And the Most High spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only ye heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And the Most High commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments.
No, religion.
That teach you statutes and judgments.
So, I mean, it's being reiterated over and over that this Bible is about statutes, judgments, and commandments. It's not about religion. Read on.
That you might do them in the land, whether you go over to possess it. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Most High spake unto you in the Horeb out of the midst of the fire.
So he said, and the Most High commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments that ye might do them, keyword, do them in the land whither ye go over to possess, right? So now, we are scattered all throughout the 4 corners of the earth. We don't possess this land, we inhabit the land, but it's the same thing. When we went over to this land to possess it, we were amongst other nations. Moab was around us, Amalek was around us, Ammon was around us. It was a lot of other nations around us, right? So that's why he's stressing, keep the commandments and do them. Don't just have them, do them. Because you're going to be around other nations that's going to be doing their thing. So don't get caught up in what they're doing. It's the same thing, right? The same thing here in America today, you know, and all over the world. We have to do the commandments. We can't just read them and throw them to the wayside, right? Because just like the other scripture said, it's going to be our wisdom in the sight of the other nations. That's what's going to make us seem wise, right? That's what's going to separate us from the rest of the world, right? Because what does the scripture say? Be ye therefore separate, right? And perfect, right? And the only way to do those things is to keep the commandments. Read on. Go ahead.
Be there for a second. Let's get that Leviticus 20 and 26.
Fine. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 26. And ye shall be holy unto me.
Ye shall be what?
Ye shall be holy unto me.
Right, so what does it mean to be holy? It means to be separate.
For I, the Most High, am holy, and have severed you. Have severed you.
He severed us, meaning he cut us off, right?
From other people. From what? From other people.
Right? We're not supposed to be like these other people, right?
Right.
That's it on that?
That ye should be mine.
Ye shall be what?
Mine.
Keep going. All right, so that's it on that? Let's go back to I'm back at Deuteronomy. This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 16. Lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air. So what did Israel do in the wilderness? What beast did they create? Let's get that. Exodus 32 and 8. All right, Exodus 32 and 8. We can start at verse 7. Exodus 32 and 7.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 32 and verse 7. And the Most High said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, For thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted
They
themselves.
done what?
They have corrupted
So
themselves.
when we follow these other nations and their doctrines and their ideology, we do what to ourselves?
Corrupted
We
ourselves.
corrupt ourselves. Keep going.
They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them.
Right?
They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped
And have
it.
done what?
And have worshipped it.
What did Yahweh say? Who's the only person we're supposed to worship? Prove it. The scripture says it. Exodus 20, right? Let's get it. Give me that Matthew 4 and 10 right there, right? We're supposed to only worship, serve Yahweh and worship, serve Yahweh. Slakia. We're supposed to worship the Most High and serve Slakia. We're supposed to serve Yahweh. Serve Yahweh, but worship Yahweh. Okay, I think I'm jumping ahead of the gun. So there's two different words for worship. Okay, there's latreia and there's proskuneo, right? Proskuneo is a basic form of worship. Latreia is that word that we serve, that we only latreia the Most High. That's why when we say Yahweh Yahweh, we say Yahweh in the name of His Son, because we do not worship Yahweh the same way we worship the Father. Right? We proskuneo Yahweh, but we only latreia Yahweh. Right? We worship Yahweh, but we only serve Yahweh. Right? Matthew 4 and 10.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 4 and verse 10. Then said Yahweh unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Most High thy power. Thou shalt worship the Most High thy power, and Him only shalt thou serve.
And Him only shalt thou serve. Right? So we're only supposed to worship. We can worship Yahweh, but we do not put Him on the same. What's the word?
Pedestal.
The same pedestal as Yahweh. Right? Because there's two different words there for worship and serve. Right? You got something?
I was trying to find it, but I don't know the verse. But could we use the precept of when Yahweh was telling the man, "Why you calling me good?"
There's only one. That's Khan. Exactly, Khan. Because that's a perfect example. Khan. Yeah. But you see now, and a lot of people they'll try to go to. Give me John 20 and 28. I know I don't want to go on a tangent, right? Because they'll say, okay, what do you mean you're not supposed to only worship? You're only supposed to serve Yahweh. You're not supposed to worship, serve Yahweh too. Right? Because they say, John 20, 28, they said, didn't Thomas worship Christ, right? John 20, 28.
This is the book of John, chapter 20 and verse 28.
Right.
And Thomas answered and said unto him, My Adawan and my power.
Read it as it is.
My Lord and my God.
Oh, they said Christ is his Lord and his God, right? So now that makes Jesus God because Thomas called him God.
Right? Jesus said unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed.
Right. The point is John 20 and 28. Read that again.
Verse, this is the book of John, chapter 20, verse 28. And Thomas answered and said unto him, My Lord and my God.
All right. So they say, see, look, how come Thomas came and worshipped Christ, right? What's the problem with that? Now, we're not saying that we're not supposed to be worshiping Christ, right? But we do not serve Him the same way we serve Yahweh. Does everybody get that? All right. We're on the same page. Right? Yes, he is the savior of the nation of Israel. Yes, but like he said in Matthew 4 and 10, right? We're only supposed to worship Yahweh, right? I mean, we can worship Christ, but we only are supposed to serve Yahweh. Do we get that? All right? Come on. So let's what you got to do? Go ahead.
Matthew was
Huh? What? What you got?
Yeah, Mark 10 and 18.
Right, Mark 10 and 18. Come on, we not preaching about Mark 10 and 18.
It's the book of Mark, chapter 10 and verse 18. And Yahweh said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one.
Right?
That is Yahweh.
That is who?
Yahweh.
So if Yahweh is Yahweh, what are you saying? Thank you for calling me good, because I am good. I'm Yahweh. Right? That would make any sense, right? So that's another beautiful scripture you can bring up. Right? So let's go back to Exodus 32 and 32 and 8. Right? Because Israel's going off. I don't know why we were so attracted to these other gods, man. Like, you got something? Right? I don't know why we were so attracted to the other gods, man. We have the living power, right? Right? We're worshiping wood and stone, but we have the living power. Right? Exodus 32 and 8.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 32 and verse 8. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf.
They have made what?
Them a molten calf. And have worshipped it.
Right.
And have sacrificed thereunto.
Right. And
said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Most High said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it was a stiff-necked people.
Right? It's a stiff-necked people, right? You get that in Bel and the Dragon right here, 1 verse, start at verse 5.
Fine.
Right? I think that's dealing with Daniel, right? Daniel's like, yo, I'm not serving your God, man.
Fine.
Right? I'm not serving wood and stone. Right? Read that.
This is the book of Bel and the Dragon, chapter 1 and verse 5.
Huh.
Who answered and said, because I may not worship idols made with hands.
I may not worship what?
Idols made with
Keep
hands.
going.
But the living power.
But the who?
The living power.
Who serve the living power, right? Keep going.
Who have created the heaven and the earth.
Uh-huh.
And have sovereignty over all flesh.
Have sovereignty over all flesh. That's the power that we serve. Give me Jeremiah 10 and 11. Right? We don't have to worship the wooden calf. Right? What's the Islam we going to? The Mecca stone? Most sides not dealing with that. One earthquake can destroy all that. Now what? Right? What's your power? Where's your power now? Where's it go? You know what I mean? Come on, Jeremiah 10 and 10.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 10.
Right?
But the Most High is the true power.
But the Most High is what?
Is the true God.
The Most High is our true God. Keep going.
He is the living God.
He is the what?
The living God.
He's the stone.
The living God.
He's wood.
The living
He
God.
is the living God. Keep going.
And an everlasting King.
Uh-huh.
At his wrath, the earth shall tremble.
Right.
And the nation shall not be able to abide his indignation.
Uh-huh.
Thus shall ye say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth.
So these other nations' idols, these other nations' gods that have not made the heaven and the earth,
even they shall perish from the earth.
They shall what?
Shall perish from the earth.
The Buddha?
Shall perish from the
They
earth.
shall perish from the earth. Keep going.
And from under these heavens.
That's what the Most High said, right? Because we serve the living power. These other idols cannot stand against the power of the Most High. You know what I'm saying?
Psalm 14 and 12.
You can bring that wisdom of Psalm 14 and 12, right? But our people are big in that idol worship, man. You know what I mean? I don't know why we gravitate, towards that so much, right? Let me get that out in wisdom of Solomon.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
Of what?
Spiritual fornication.
Right, because when the scripture says that we're the wife of the Most High, right? So when you start to serve these other idols, it's spiritual fornication. Keep going.
And the invention of them, the corruption of life.
The what?
The corruption of life.
That's what we just read in Exodus 32 and 8, that you will get corrupted by following these other idols. All right, let's go back to Deuteronomy. Right? So we serve the living power Yahweh. Right? We don't serve these other nations, man. I mean, the gods of these other nations. Right? I was at Deuteronomy 4 and 17. This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 17. The likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And lest thou lift up thine eyes into the heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God has divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. So what is that? What does that say? Maybe I'll do 4:19 in the ESV.
Okay. Should break down.
Oh, Con. Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
all right. I'll say so. Everybody knows that this is just a flower, right? Right. A lot of Jewish people say it's the Magen David, right? But it's really just a flower, right? I'm gonna go to the scripture on that. I'm gonna break down this Deuteronomy 4:19, and let's go to 1 Kings 7 and 19, right quick. All right. It's just a flower.
1 Kings?
Yeah, 1 Kings. But I want you to look at Deuteronomy 4:19.
It says just a flower.
It's just a flower. It's a lily. It's just a lily. That's all it is. Right. Deuteronomy 4. I'm sorry. 1 Kings 7.
I wrote it right here.
Deuteronomy 4:19.
Okay, I got you.
I think this is.
Yes,
Actually, yeah. Hold on, let me just deal with that Star of David. It's not a Star of Solidity. It's 1 Kings 17. No, not 1 Kings 17. Let's go to 1 Kings 7 and 19. Salakia. 1 Kings 7 and 19. Okay. Let me know when you're there. Just say call when you got it. So 1 Kings 7. Let me know you got it.
I got you. This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 7, and verse 19. And the chapiters that were upon the top of the pillars were of lily work.
What?
Were of lily work in the porch, 4 cubits.
And for you, that's all it is. That was on Solomon's temple, right? The lily work. When you look up lily, it has these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points on the lily. That's all it is, right? So I want to give you, show you the scripture in Deuteronomy 4:19.
Okay.
Yeah, come on, read that in the New King.
That's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4:19,
right?
In the New King James Version.
Right.
And take heed, lest you lift your eyes to heaven,
Right.
and when you see the sun, the moon, and the stars,
Right.
all the hosts of heaven,
Right.
you feel driven to worship them and
Right.
serve them,
Right.
which the Most High your power has given to all the peoples under the whole heaven as a heritage.
Right. So the Most High gave these other nations the stars and the moons and the sun to worship. Right. But he is our power to serve, right? He gave these other nations the stars, moon, sun, and heaven, but our power is to serve Yahweh.
Right.
Right. So I just wanted to bring that up.
And that was something that Ham always did. Now you had Issachar, you had the Northern Kingdom. They would use the stars and the moon and stuff like that for purposes that was given.
But they were not deifying them,
right? Exactly.
They were not making them deities, right?
Which is what the other nations they did, but it was given to them as a heritage. So that's what they do, and they still do it to this day. That's why you got horoscopes and all that other.
Right. If you serve Yahweh, y'all can serve
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Right. I think there's another piece of one that let me get that. Let me see if I can find it. About the astrologers. I think that's in Isaiah 47. Let me get that right quick. That's not right.
Let's keep going with the. You got a question, sister?
Yeah. Where did they find the
the Magen David? Well, yeah, that's well, we can look up the Magen David because that's what they call it, the Magen David or the Star of David, when it's really just a lily. See from see where they got that from.
Star of David. I'll read it about it. That's what I find. It just says the Star of David, known in Hebrew as Magen David, is generally recognized symbol of modern Jewish identity in Judaism. Its shape is that of a hexagram, the compound of 2 equilateral triangles.
So it was like their leading symbol for when they push Judaism. I think that's when you look at the Zionist movement, that's what they use as like their flag.
Right. But it's stolen because they just like they stole our whole heritage. They've taken what they wanted and they twisted it. Just like it's like when you see a menorah, they have 9 candles on the menorah. So they take everything that was righteous and they made it wicked. To, you know what I mean? Because
even down to the rainbow.
Right. So
the rainbow is black, so it was actually.
Come on, it's a bunch of wickedness. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, 7 is the piece from the menorah is 7. You put 9 on there, because the number 9 usually means surround.
They know that they can't really deal with what with our heritage and do it in righteousness. You can't. It's just not going to work. Because it was tailor made for the children of Israel. It wasn't made for any other nation. Right?
We understand that it's just a lily. It's just a flower.
Right.
Okay. So I'll go back to Deuteronomy. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 20. But the Most High has taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance as ye are this day. Furthermore, the Most High was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go in unto that good land which the Most High, that power, giveth thee for an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan, but ye shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of the Most High, your power, which he made with you, and make you a graven image or the likeness of anything which the Lord thy power has forbidden thee.
So it sounds like Moses was kind of salty with the children of Israel because he's giving them all the business. Like, hey man, I got to die because of y'all. Basically, is what he's saying. Continue.
For the Most High, that power is a consuming fire, even a jealous power. When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained in the land and shall corrupt yourselves and make a graven image, or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Most High, thy power to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed.
So what Moses just did was he just gave the children of Israel prophecy. He told them, listen, I know y'all gonna go off. I already know y'all gonna go off. Y'all gonna be utterly destroyed from off this land.
Right.
Read.
And the Most High shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you.
Where's that prophecy at? Deuteronomy 28. We know that we're going to be scattered across all nations.
And it said we will be left few in number. That's why they call us a minority.
Right, exactly. See?
Right, and this is going into what's called the diaspora, right? The dispersion of the Jews. And we get that with one precept. I know we short on time. Ezekiel 36 and 19. Right, the diaspora is how we were scattered to all these other nations. Right, that's history. Right, Ezekiel 36 and 19. Right.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 19. And I scattered them among the heathen.
I did what?
I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed.
They were what?
Dispersed.
That word dispersed goes into the diaspora, right? And they were dispersed, right?
Through the countries, according to their way and according to their doings, I judged them.
So that's going into that diaspora. We were dispersed and scattered abroad, right? To the four corners. We can go back to it. We can jump there. This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 28. And there you shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Most High thy power, thou shalt find him. If thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Most High thy power, and shalt be obedient unto his voice. For the Most High thy power is a merciful power. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he swore unto them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day that the Most High created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven unto the other, whether there had been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like it.
Let me get on that one. Go ahead.
Let's go to Romans 15 and 4. Right, because everything that we learned today was written before time was read for our learning. Right, Romans 15 and 4.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4.
Right.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Right.
That we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Might have what?
Might have hope.
Right. So that's the things that it says, for ask now of the days that are past, which were there before thee. So that's why we find comfort and hope in these scriptures, right? We have to go to the old way, right? Let's go back to that. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 33. Did ever people hear the voice of Yahweh speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and lived? Or has the Most High essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation, by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Most High your power did for you in Egypt before your eyes? That's tough.
Right. We know what he did in Egypt. All of those things.
Right. He never did that to any other nation.
No, he was flexing. That's what they call flexing right now. The Most High was flexing. And he even said at one point, he said, I did all this to show my power. He wanted to show his power. He was flexing. Who does that? We know the Most High is a so-called black man. We know it because we get our characteristics from him. So, I mean, it's undisputable. White people don't get down like that. Right. Chinese people and Arab people don't get down like that. That's us. That's in our spirit. Go ahead. Exactly. It's just in our spirit. We're the salt of the earth, right? So, yeah, come on. Go ahead.
This book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 35. Unto thee it was showed that thou mightest know that the Most High, he is Yahweh. There is none else beside him. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. And upon earth he showed thee his great fire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt,
Fine.
to drive out nations from before thee, greater and mightier than thou art, to bring thee in, to give thee their land for an inheritance, as it is this day.
And that's exactly what's going to happen when Yahushua returns. Because all the other nations are greater and more powerful than us. We don't have anything. We're scattered amongst all of them, right? We don't even know as a whole that we are a nation, right? So, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to gather us, and he's going to give us their land all over again, right? We don't.
Come, know therefore this day and consider it in thine heart, that the Most High, he is Yahweh in heaven above, and upon the earth beneath there is none else. Thou shalt keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, which I commanded thee this day, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which the Most High thy power giveth thee forever. Then Moses served Then Moses severed 3 cities on this side Jordan toward the sun rising, that the slayer might flee thither, which should kill his neighbor unawares, and hated him not in times past, and that fleeing unto one of these cities he might live, namely Bezer in the wilderness in the plain country of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead, and of the Gadites, and of Golan in Bashan of the Manassites. And this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Moses spake unto the children of Israel after they came forth out of Egypt. On this side Jordan in the valley over against Beth Peor in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel smote after they were come forth out of Egypt. And they possessed his land, and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, which were on this side Jordan toward the sun rising, from Aroer, which is by the bank of river Arnon, even unto Mount Sion, which is Hermon, and all the plain of this side Jordan eastward, even unto the sea of plain under the springs of Pisgah. Deuteronomy 5 verse 1. And the Most High called Israel and said, the book of Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 1. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that you may learn them and keep and do them. The Most High, our power, made a covenant with us in Horeb.
He made a covenant with who?
He made a covenant with us in Horeb.
And so, you get Christians that always say that people are spiritual Israelites.
Right, spiritual Israelites, they can spiritually be a part of the covenant now.
Right.
That's impossible.
He made a covenant with us, and it was a blood covenant.
It was a blood covenant.
Exodus 24:4. It was a blood covenant. It wasn't just a spoken word. It was a blood covenant that he made with us. This doesn't include all the other nations. No matter what they think or how they say they're adopted in, it just doesn't coincide with the scripture.
We only want to be part of my family to receive the blessings,
but not the curses.
Right.
Exactly.
You want to be in my family,
right?
But you want to be separate,
right?
Deal with the curses.
And even on the carnal level, isn't it? Like when all the nations want to be like quote unquote black people. Right. They want all the benefits and all the swag and all that other stuff, but they don't want to deal with the hard part, getting shot down in the street, right? Getting discriminated against just because we look different, right? But they want all the benefits. Now I remember when I was like a teenager or even a little younger, they used to make fun of me because I had big lips and all this other stuff. Right. Now they injecting themselves, fix a flat and all kinds of stuff trying to look like us, So, the Most High turned them tables around.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 3. The Lord made not his covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day. The Most High talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between the Most High and you at that time to show you the word of the Most High, for you were afraid by reason of the fire and went not up into the mount, saying, I am the Most High, that power which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt not have no other powers before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee make thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them. For I, the Most High, am a jealous power.
Just go back to 8 again.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 8. Thou shalt not make thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them.
We'll read that again.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them,
Nor what?
nor serve them.
So now, for clarity's sake, it's not to say that you can't have like a painting of a bird or a lion, or it's not to say that you can't have those things. It specifically says you're not supposed to bow down yourself to them or serve them. So you can have, you know, like we got things like this up here. We're not worshiping these things. We're not transgressing the law by having 2 lions, you know, statues or whatever, sculptures. We're not bow downing ourselves, nor are we serving these sculptures or whatever you want, whatever, right? So just for the sake of clarity, that needs to be said, because you'll get a lot of people that say, "Oh, look, see, you got a line on your shirt. You breaking the law."
Right.
Really, bro? Like, breaking the law because I got a line on my shirt? But that's because people don't really truly understand and break down the scriptures. Go on.
For I, the Most High, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Most High in vain, for the Most High will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain.
What are we getting right now? What is he going over the commandments, right? Right. Read.
Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Most High has commanded thee. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Most High thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thy donkey, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. And remember that thou was a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Most High thy power brought thee out thence through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore the Most High thy power commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day. Honor thy father and thy mother as the Most High Honor thy father and thy mother as the Most High thy power has commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, neither shalt thou commit adultery, neither shalt thou steal, neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Is it a sin to kill?
No.
Right. It's a sin to murder.
Your brother and sister.
Right. Because we kill all the time, right? We kill our food, right? We gotta kill, right? So it's not saying when it says thou shalt not kill, it's not saying you can't kill anything. It's saying you should, thou shalt not murder. Right? So that's the understanding on that. Read on.
Thou shalt not kill, neither shalt thou commit adultery, neither shalt thou steal, neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor, neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife, neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is thy neighbor's. So I know we have the general 10 commandments, but how many commandments are there?
6, 13.
So you know it's crazy, right? When you do 6 plus 1 plus 3, it equals 10, right? So it goes back to the 10 commandments. It's a little
gone.
The number 10 in Hebrew is the hand.
You say it again?
The number 10 in the Hebrew is the hand.
Con. That's how you gotta do that.
Puzzle pieces come together.
This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verse 22. These words the Most High spake unto all your assembly in the mount of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice. And he added no more, and he wrote them in 2 tables of stone, and delivered them unto me. And it came to pass, when you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that you came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And he said, behold, the Lord our power has showed us his glory and his greatness. And we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that the Most High does talk with man, and he liveth. Now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Most High our power anymore, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living power speaking out of the midst of fire, as we have and live?
So that lets you know right there that the Most High is dealing with the children of Israel. He's not dealing with the other nations like that. Anybody else hear the voice of the Most High, he's dying. Right? Read.
Go thou near and hear all that the Most High our power shall say, and speak thou unto us all that the Most High our power shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. And the Most High heard the voice of your words when ye shall speak, when ye spake unto me. And the Most High said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there was such an heart in them that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that I might be well with them and with their children forever. Go say to them, get you into your tents again. But as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments and the statutes and judgments which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. Ye shall observe to do therefore as the Most High your power has commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Ye shall walk in all the ways which the Most High your power has commanded you, that ye may live, and that I may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye possess.
Now it says, ye shall observe to do therefore as the Most High your power hath commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Now let me get Matthew 7:13. Matthew 7:13. The Most High is telling you, or I'm sorry, Moses is telling, is saying you can't turn you got to stay on that straight and narrow. That straight and narrow path is the only way that you're going to keep these, that you're going to make it into the kingdom. You got to keep these commandments, because that's a straight path, right? You can't do what everybody else is doing, because everybody else is doing what they want to do. Let me get that.
This book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 13. Enter ye in at the straight gate.
At the what gate?
And at the straight gate. For wide is the gate.
What is it?
For wide is the gate.
It's a wide gate, read.
And broad is the way.
It's a broad way, which is everybody does this, read.
That leadeth to destruction.
Everybody does what they wanted to. That wide gate where people live how they want to live. I want to eat pork, right? I don't want to wear fringes. Sisters don't want to wear dresses, right? You want to have hot girl summers. Brothers want to sleep around. That's that wide gate that all of us was walking in the midst of all of those people in wickedness. We all did that. I don't know, some of y'all may have been born in the truth, but I wasn't, right? So I was walking in that wide gate, right? Read on.
And many there be which go in thereat.
Many go in that direction. A lot of us were there. All praise to the Most High for bringing us out of it, but a lot of us are still there. Family members, loved ones, right? Friends, people, next door neighbors, people that we truly care about. But this truth ain't for everybody, unfortunately. Right? Go ahead, brother.
What scripture was that?
Matthew 7:13. More.
Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way.
What's the gate?
Because straight is the gate.
Straight is the gate. Don't turn to the left or to the right. Read.
And narrow is the way.
It's narrow. Read.
Which leadeth unto life.
That thing's so narrow you might have to turn sideways to get through it. Read.
And few there be that find it.
Right. All praise to the Most High. And because he blessed us because we have found it. And honestly, we didn't find it. He woke us up and showed us the way. Right? He was the one who allowed us to hear. Right? Because it wasn't on our own accord. I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm gonna be the truth.
Right.
I'm an Israelite. Right? He put our heritage back onto us. Right? So we gotta, the least we can do is keep these commandments.
That's part of the scripture that he chose us, we could choose him.
What's that? Just looking for that.
No, that's in John.
And this is crazy to know. Like, I never thought to really to our meetings like.
Fine. A lot of us. You got my sheep in my voice. It's got to be somewhere around. My father was today from me. Well, I give you what is it? John chapter 10 and verse 27.
That's what I want.
I said, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Right? And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. So nobody can take us out of this truth. The Most High is the one that can bring us in or throw us back out into darkness.
15 and 16.
15 and 16. John 15 and 16. This is the book of John, chapter 15 and verse 16.
Right.
Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you.
What?
And ordained
What do
you.
you mean to ordain? When you ordain something, not necessarily. That make it separate. When you ordain something, right? What does it mean when something's preordained?
Kind of like giving you power.
Not necessarily. Not I get what you mean, but ordained is going into like you're chosen. It's something that's destiny, right? The Most High already written that He was going to choose you, right? The same way He ordained people to hear the word. There's people that are ordained that's not going to hear the word, right? So let's read that again.
Fine. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you,
right,
that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain. That whosoever ye shall ask, Salakia, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, He may give it to you.
So that's what it is, right? So the Most High chose us, we didn't choose.
That's right.
While we was ordained at the womb, just like Jeremiah says, right? Like
I'm sorry, 25.
Like he said that he was ordained in the womb.
Right.
So that's what the Most High does. That's how He deals with us, right? He knew one day we was gonna wake up, and Most High forbid we don't have to fall out either. Right? What I'm saying? So let's go back. Deuteronomy 6, right? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Most High your power commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whether ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Most High thy power to keep all the statutes and the commandments which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's son all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Most High power of thy fathers have promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our power. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our power, Yahweh is one.
Y'all heard that before. Shema Yasharali Yahweh Elohayim Yahweh Akud. That's what we're quoting when we say that. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our power. It's like the Lord our power is one Lord. Read on.
And thou shalt love the Most High thy power with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
You see how important it is? It's over and over and over again. It's reiterating. Teach the commandments to your children. Go ahead, please.
Right. Ephesians 1 and 4. This is the one.
That He ordained us.
You want to bring it up? Go ahead.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 4. According as He hath chosen us in Him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before Him in love. He chose His 1/3 before He even formed the earth.
That's right. That's a beautiful precept. Because again, a lot of people like to say, "Oh, I turned to the Lord," or "I did this." No, you didn't turn anyway. He turned you. He is the one who decided that He wanted you. Right? It was already preordained and predestinated.
Right. Because let me get that's actually a beautiful point. I was actually going over that the other day. Let me get Romans 8 and 30 right there. Just going into that order, how we are ordained from the beginning of the earth. All right, Romans 8 and 30.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 30. Moreover, whom he did predestinate.
So it's going to go into who He did predestinate, right?
Them He also called.
Then He also what?
He also called.
Now who did He call? Right? You got a scripture on that? Who did He call? Did He call Esau? Did He call the Ishmaelites? Did He call the Moabites? Who did He call? All right.
Finish it. And whom He called, them He also justified.
Let's search deal with the call. Who did He call, right? Let's go to Isaiah 48 and 12. Let's see who He called. Right? Isaiah 48 and 12.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 48 and verse 12. Hearken unto me, O Jacob,
right? And
Israel, my call. My call.
So Israel and Jacob is His call. Keep going.
I am He. I am the first, I also am the last. Mine hand also have laid the foundation of the earth.
Let me get Isaiah 43 and 1.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 43 and verse 1. But now thus says the Most High that created thee, O Jacob, and He that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name.
I have done what?
Called thee by thy name.
He called Israel by His name.
Thou art mine.
Thou art man. He called us by our name. Right? He didn't call any other nation but the Israelites. What you guys say?
What did He use Israel and Jacob? They're all one and the same, aren't they?
Well, sometimes when it talks about when it says Israel and Jacob, right? Sometimes it can be interchangeable, but it can also be a reference to both kingdoms.
Right.
You see what I mean? So it could say, I'm calling Jacob and Israel. They're still calling the nation of Israel. They're just referring to, like you said, it's interchangeable. It's like it can be called Jacob and be called Israel. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's in reference to both kingdoms as well. You know? So that's a good question, sis. Let me get one last scripture, Isaiah 63:19. I know we're on the time. Right, so he's only called Israel. He's not called these other nations, right?
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 63 and verse 19. We are thine. Thou never bearest rule over them.
So he never ruled over these other nations, all right? Keep going.
They were not called by thy name.
They were not what?
They were not called by thy name.
These other nations were not called by the name of Yahweh. Israel was called by Yahweh. What you got, King? No, I didn't get that. Isaiah 41:8. Come. So you got something? Come.
I have
Okay.
41:8.
Come. Isaiah 41:8. Come.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 41 and verse 8.
Come.
But thou, Israel, art my servant.
Right.
Jacob, whom I have chosen,
Uh-huh.
the seed of Abraham, my friend.
My what?
My friend.
Right.
Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth,
Uh-huh.
and called thee from the chief man thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant.
Uh-huh.
I have chosen thee,
Uh-huh.
and not cast thee away.
Ooh, that's a good precept.
That's a dagger right there, boy.
That's a fire precept.
I like that.
I'm gonna have to take that. Get the highlighter. That's a
Who
good
they
one.
call his friend?
God. He said it called Abraham his friend.
Ah.
Because you know Abraham walked with the Most High, right?
God.
You know? That's a powerful precept. But we was chosen to be the Most High's people from the foundation of the earth. It was not that because we're the strongest and we look the best and we're better, we're stronger than everybody. It's because He set us up before the foundation of the earth. Right? So that it was all predicated on the Most High, not us.
And Jacob did not supplant Esau. It was already predestinated and preordained that Jacob was going to receive the promise. Period. Point blank.
So let's go back to that Deuteronomy.
We're about to wrap it up, y'all.
We got one more chapter. This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse
8.
Verse 8. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. And it shall be, when the Most High thy power shall have brought thee into the land which he swore to thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not. And houses full of all good things, which thou fillest not. And wells digged, which thou diggest not. Vineyards and olive trees, which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten and be full. Then beware, lest thou forget the Lord, the Most High, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Most High thy power, and serve him, and shalt thou swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. For the Most High thy power is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Most High thy power be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Ye shall not tempt the Most High your God, as he tempted him in Massah. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee. And thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Most High swore to thy fathers, to cast out all thine enemies from before thee, as the Most High has spoken. And when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, What mean the testimonies and the statutes and judgments which the Most High our power commanded you? Then thou shalt say unto thy son, We were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and the Most High brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand.
It's going to happen the same way when the Most High brings us out of all the four corners of the earth.
And the Most High showed signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in, to give us the land which he swore unto our fathers. And the Most High commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our power, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is this day. And that shall be our righteousness, if we deserve to do all these commandments before the Most High our power, as he commanded us. Come. Deuteronomy 7, verse 1. When the Most High thy power shall bring thee into the land whether thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, and when the Most High thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt not make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
You what?
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter thou shalt not take unto thy Salakia. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So when you look up all these nations in Deuteronomy 21, those are all Hamitic nations, right? They all descend from that. Verse 4, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Most High be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall you deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Most High thy power. The Most High has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Most High did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all the people. But because the Most High loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, has the Most High brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Most High thy power, he is Yahweh, the faithful power, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations.
How long?
To 1,000 generations.
The laws get done away with.
To 1,000 generations.
Right.
And repayeth them that hate him to their face to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the judgments and the statutes, and thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I commanded thee this day to do that.
And with that, that ends the portion. So let's give the Most High a hand.
259, right? 259.
Right on time. This portion was packed full of
yeah, we could have got into a lot of
lots of different things, especially in this in chapter 7. It started really getting heavy, so all praise to the Most High for blessing us with this word. All right, so Q&A. What did everybody learn? Anybody? Let me hear some stuff that
I know we learned a lot.
Yeah, we did. We did. So everybody should have something that they learned. Obadiah. Absolutely. It's extremely important.
I remember I heard the
Slavery? Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, they're trying to. What Esau's trying to do is they're trying to erase their transgressions, right? Historically. Right. So, because I even heard a few years ago that they've been teaching children in school that slaves were indentured servants, and that was we were never indentured servants. We were the only people on the planet that served chattel slavery. So we were treated like animals, right? So they're trying to erase their transgressions, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Now, don't get me wrong. I've spoken to some children out in the street, and they don't know. They don't know much about slavery. They don't know. So it's our job. That's why we have these signs and these boards to show what happened, because Esau will erase it from memory. I mean, look, a lot of people don't even know Africans were black. A lot of people don't know Egyptians were black, right? Or that Ishmael basically was black. What's up?
And like the thing now, I'm realizing like they even when I was in high school, they never Black History Month. They never talked about anything about Black history.
Of course.
In that month. Like before that, they were talking about Rosa Parks. They were talking about Emmett Till, Martin Luther King. But they want to talk about the radicals. They want to talk about Malcolm X. They want to talk about what's his name?
Nat Turner.
Tucson.
They want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it.
They didn't talk about that at all. They didn't work. Like they're really starting to cut Black history out of these schools. Right?
Esau is scrambling right now.
Yeah.
Esau is scrambling to save their behinds. Right? Because their time is coming short. It's short. Go ahead, officer.
I learned.
That's right.
So, in the passage that we're reading, Captain Officer back here, mountains are large nations, and hills are a smaller nation. Well, when it's talking about the Most High, when it comes to this chariot, skipping over mountains and hills. And then the whirlwinds are chariots.
That's right.
Shooting up fire. And
Con. Sis?
I learned that angels has two jobs.
They have two jobs. Con.
To either deliver
Or destroy. That's right. Deliver or destroy. That's right. And that's powerful right there. Go ahead, sis.
I learned that there's a difference in how we acknowledge the Most High and Yahweh Shai.
Con.
If you can repeat those two terms.
Okay, so now, okay, come. So this is called the English Greek reverse interlinear New Testament. Okay, I'm going to show you something. Let's go to Matthew 4:10 right quick. So I don't know if you can pull up the blue letter on there. I just want to show you something in the Greek, right? It's kind of it's also a cut to the Trinity doctrine because we're not serving Yahweh Shai the same way we serve the Most High. All right, so let's go to Matthew 4:10.
I see, yeah.
You see it, right? So watch. I want to show you it in the Greek as well, so you can differentiate. So go to Matthew 4:10.
Pulling out the word serve.
Right, so basically why I'm bringing that out is also showing that just because Yahweh Shai is worship, right, that does not make him God, right? Because we're also going to be worshiped when you go to Revelation 3:9, right? David was also worshiped. I'm going to show both examples of that as well. So you got that? I got you. Right, so just because someone is worshipped does not make them God. That's why I want to emphasize. But there's two words for worship. There's proskuneo and there's latreia, right? We can worship Yahweh Shai. We're going to be worshipped by the other nations, right? But we only latreia or serve Yahweh, right? So let me see that right quick. So now this is something called the Textus Receptus. The Textus Receptus is basically the New Testament. It's in its Greek form, in the Greek manuscript, all right? So now you see this word right here? I don't know if I can. Let me see this word. Right, it says latreia, right? Now go down the verse now. Now go to the word serve, right? You see this word, right? You see it? It's latreia or latreia, right? Go down. Go down on the show. Right, it says, "Get me behind me," saying, right? For it is written, "Thou shalt worship," right? "Thou shalt proskuneo," right? The Lord, right? "Thou shalt proskuneo the Lord." We're going to be proskuneo as well. I'm going to show you that example of that. Keep going. Right, thy God, and him only shalt thou, what's that word there? Latreia, right? Or latreia, right? We only serve Yahweh, right? We don't serve Yahweh Shai the same way we serve Yahweh. You get that, right? We don't serve Yahweh Shai the same way we serve Yahweh. That's two different words. There's proskuneo and there's latreia, right? So we only serve Yahweh. Yes, we worship Yahweh Shai, right? Because, we worship it, that's not a problem. But we do not worship him the same way we serve Yahweh. Do we get that? You still following me on it? What you got?
So I get serving the Most High because we have to follow the Lord,
Yeah.
the duties, right? What does it look like to worship Yahweh Shai?
What do you mean? Well, so let me get you on 5:25, right? Because it's really the same. Because what it looks like to worship him is basically the same way how he says, if you're not listening to me, you can't get to the Father, right? Because we have to get through Yahweh Shai to get to Yahweh. Right, so we can't skip Yahweh Shai and try to get to Yahweh.
It's like the key to the door.
He's the key to the door. That's that worship. That's that honor. Because worship just means what? Reverence. That's all it does. That's all it means. So give me that John 5:25. I think that's what I'm
John chapter 5 and verse
Let
25.
me go to that reference. No, Salakia. Oh, 23, Salakia.
This is the book of John, chapter 5, and verse 23.
Right?
That all men should honor the Son,
So we have to honor the Son, right?
even as they honor the Father.
Just like we honor the Father. But like we read in the Matthew 4:10 and in the Greek, just because we honor them the same way, we don't worship them the same way. You see what I'm saying? Because we can worship Yahweh, right? But we don't, yes, we can worship Yahweh, but we don't serve him the same way we serve Yahweh. It's still not getting it? So look, you see this word for serve? This word is never in reference to Yahweh. There's nowhere in the Texas Receptus in the Greek that you can say that this word for serve is in reference to Yahweh. We are not to serve Yahweh the same way we serve Yahweh. This is why there's two different words for them, right? Because we're getting worshipped as well. David was worshipped. That's why I want to show you an example of that, right? Did I answer your question about what does it show? How do you show Yahweh that you worship him? Because worship just means reverence. It just means respect. That's all it is.
So we're just acknowledging the Son.
Right, we acknowledge the Son, right? But then the scripture says we have to honor the Son just like we honor the Father. But we do not serve the Son just like we serve the Father. You still get it? Because let me know if I can keep breaking it down. Are you sure?
Serving the Father would entail keeping his commandments, right? So Christ is Yahweh is the embodiment of the commandments, right? So that's how we're serving. We're serving them differently because we go to Yahweh through Yahweh, right? But we're serving Yahweh by keeping his commandments. He's the only one that had and gave commandments.
We're only supposed to serve Yahweh, right? Yes, we honor them the same, but we do not serve them the same. We only serve Yahweh, right? We only serve them. We only serve. I think that's why I'm confused. We only serve Yahweh. We only serve TMH, right? But we don't serve them the same way we serve Yahweh, right? So I'm gonna give you another example of just because men are worship does not make them Yahweh. Give me 1 Chronicles 29 and 20. Right? 1 Chronicles 29 and 20. Right? Because we're going to be worshipped by these other nations in the last days. Before you get that, give me Revelation 3 and 9. Right? Revelation 3 and 9.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 9.
Right?
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
Right?
Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
These other nations are, these fake Jews are going to come and worship us, right? Right? Does that make us God because we're going to worship? No. Right? What you got? What kind? They're going to come and bow down, right? But I want to just show you another example of just because as men are being worshipped, that does not qualify us as being the God as well, right? Because yes, Yahweh was worshipped by Thomas, right? When he fell down and bowed down to him. Does that make him God because he was worshipped? No, it does not. Because if that's the case, if every time you get worship that makes you God, meaning Yahweh, that means that we're all Yahweh. That makes no sense, right? That's why I'm showing you there's that word for worship and then there's word for to serve, right? Reference, that's all it is. Exactly. So give me 1 Chronicles 29 and 20.
This is the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 29 and verse 20.
Right?
And David said to all the congregation, now bless the Most High your power. And all the congregation blessed the Most High power of their fathers, and bowed down their heads and worship the Most High.
And worship the Most High
and the King.
And the what?
And the King.
So David was getting worship as well. Now does that mean now David's worship that makes him God? No, it's just showing you that when you look at Hebrew culture, when you look at Hebrew culture, when you worship someone, that's just dealing with reverence and respect. That's all that's dealing with. But the same way David is worshipped does not mean since David is worshipped, that makes him Yahweh. That's all. That's what I'm trying to illustrate.
I kind of think of it like Yahweh is like the president, and you have the commanding general, which is
exactly right.
And he gives out that order. It's taken out through Yahweh.
Exactly.
President doesn't
come because when you look at our word latreia, that's the highest level form of worship. It's the highest form of worship, right? Yes, we're going to be proskuneoed. That's why we went to Revelation 3 and 9, First Chronicles 29 and 20. Yes, we're going to be, it's going to be a basic form of worship, but we're not receiving, or Yahweh, he does not receive that highest form of worship as Yahweh does. You see what I'm saying? It's two different Greek words. You know what I mean? So I think
we got clarity on that.
I don't know if I answered that question.
Praise God. Anybody else learn anything? What you learn? Say that again. Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. on here too well, I'm old. All right, good job, sis. That's right. That's right. All praises. All right. So, and like the scripture says, teach the little ones. Teach the little ones. That's important, right? Because she's gonna grow up one day and she's gonna be teaching, sons and daughters as well. So, with that, I'm gonna say, Amanya Wapanya Yerushalayim, rise and face the east.
You might just have to.
Wait.
Well,